උදෑසන 7ට
With Sri Lanka facing an economic crisis since last year, a lot has been happening in the country. These days, many deaths are being reported due to issues with medicinal drugs that are being supplied. This topic has come back into the discussion and is making headlines this tonight. Good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. We've got the latest of stories lined up for you here tonight. I'm Charlene Benedict for the News First team.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekar, and here are your headlines for tonight.
Tourism industry would significantly contribute to the country's foreign exchange earnings in the coming decade, says President. Health workers protest, demanding solutions. Woman from Gaul dies due to substandard medicine. Why was the anti-corruption bill postponed? State Engineering Corporation workers demand salary arrears to be settled. Chairman held inside his office. Advanced level examination in December and ordinary level examination pushed to 2024. Come at the bill's electric fence for the Eriava village in Galgamua.
In your top story tonight, Sri Lanka's health system is plagued with a plethora of issues, including the medicine shortage, substandard medicines, and the mass exodus of health professionals, leaving patients in dire straits.
Now remember, Sri Lanka once had one of the best healthcare systems compared to their regional peers. But however, today, Sri Lanka's health system, like its patients, is in dire straits. Today, health workers across the country protested, demanding solutions to these many issues that have continued to plague Sri Lanka's health sector, resulting in the death of many patients.
Health workers in Sri Lanka protested against a government decision to end free healthcare and start charging patients for health services. Health workers also obtained public signatures for a petition against the government's move. The Joint Health Workers Union protested next to the National Hospital in Colombo.
Every single medicine imported to the country is unregistered and is accompanied by the no objection letter. This is a failure. The firms that supplied substandard medicines have not even been blacklisted. The authorities have only removed the batch in question and are importing medicines as usual. They need to detect the quality. They are purposely importing substandard medicines for commissions.
Signatures were obtained for a public petition and a protest banner opposite the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital on Friday.
All staff members and trade unions have come together, and we will join with the people to take strict action. That is our message from this signature campaign.
The Health Trade Union Collective in Kandy engaged in a signature campaign opposite the Kandy General Hospital. The joint health trade unions at the Mathura General Hospital protested on Friday. Signatures were obtained for a petition against the medicine shortage and attempts to privatize public hospitals.
9 patients have died in the past 3 months alone, and we suspect that the deaths were caused by importing the wrong or substandard medicines. There are concerns over the medicines imported to the country via improper mechanisms at the National Medicines Regulatory Authority. We urge the government to refrain from attempting to privatize the health sector. The people will be rendered helpless. The health sector needs to be developed, not privatized. That is our message.
A Sri Lankan mother of two reportedly died after undergoing eye surgery. The deceased was identified as Himali Veerasinghe, aged 34. from Boruluketia, Koskoda, and she had undergone surgery at the National Eye Hospital in Colombo to insert a lens 2 weeks ago. Her body was brought to her home in Boruluketia, Koskoda, Gaul on Thursday night. This was Himali Veerasinghe. 2 weeks ago, she underwent a surgery at the Colombo Eye Hospital and had a lens inserted. According to the relatives, when Himali returned to the National Eye Hospital for the second time on the 5th of July, doctors informed her that the lens had moved and an immediate surgery needs to take place. The director of the National Eye Hospital told News First that an investigation is underway.
This unfortunate incident happened during a surgery. According to what we know, several surgeries had been done before at the eye hospital itself. However, in this case, it seems that this mother died due to heart failure during the surgery. It's hard to say exactly whether this happened regarding a medicine or something that is related to another matter. Someone can completely rule out that there is no connection between such a thing. According to the current reports, the anesthetic that was used and caused the death of a child in the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital was the same one used to anesthetize the woman reported dead yesterday.
A group including the National Movement of Medical Professionals convened a joint media briefing today and spoke about serious issues that have cropped up in the health sector of the country.
After 2 mothers at the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital died, we were able to get that medical drug banned. Since the drug was banned, no deaths were reported after that. But since the medical drug used at the Peradeniya Children's Hospital was not banned, since that complaint was dismissed, we believe that if the complaint was not dismissed, the deaths that came after that could have been prevented. They bring down medicine together with large businessmen for large commissions, and when they make massive profits, the people of this country are suffering the adverse consequences of it. The people's right to life is violated by these policies of ministers and officials. After the person died yesterday, the report is coming out in the evening saying that the death was caused by a heart attack, but we need the tests conducted to ascertain the reason for the heart attack. Even a child would know that a person dies when his heart and lungs stop working. Yesterday, 4 deaths of infants were reported from a hospital in Kilinochchi. Even today, the reasons for these deaths have not yet been reported. Several hospitals reported on deaths of infants, but the proper forensic examination on the cause of death are not carried out. If we continue to suppress the truth, another infant could die, another pregnant woman could die. The officer appointed to probe into the reason for the death at the Peradeniya Hospital is a development officer who has a degree in business management.
Meanwhile, the Government Radiological Technologies Association made another revelation.
Out of the 43 CT scan machines at government hospitals, 14 have broken down. Government hospitals only have 13 MRI scan machines. 2 of those 13 machines have already broken down. State hospitals in Sri Lanka only have 2 PET scan machines. They are at the National Hospital and the Apeksha Hospital. PET scans at the Apeksha Hospital have not been conducted since the 26th of May. Linear accelerator is the most modern treatment method available for cancer. This treatment can destroy only the target cancer cells without damaging the adjacent healthy cells. 2 weeks ago, the linear accelerator used to treat children at the Apeksha Hospital broke down. Treatments for children with cancer has stopped at the Apeksha Hospital. The 2 machines at the Kandy National Hospital had been broken since the 14th of November. Stopping cancer treatment halfway means partially destroying the cancer cells. What happens then is the cancer cell starts growing back more aggressively.
The issue was also raised in Parliament on Friday.
People are dying due to the substandard anesthetic that was administered. 1 person died in Peradeniya and another person called Himali Veerasinghe died in Gaul. One medicine is under the brand of Anestol and the other is Propofol. There are 3 medicines that are of low quality. The health minister said that the medicines are good. A death was reported yesterday, yet there is no place to file a complaint about it. The NMRA is a fraud.
NMR එක හොර ගුහාවක්. මේ ලියාපදිංචි නොකර
Unregistered medicines have been imported. The Health Ministry and the NMRA are committing these deaths.
ක්‍රියාත්මක කරමින් යනවා කියන එක ඉතාමත් පැහැදිලි.
On the 5th of July, the Health Minister commented on the medicine issue in Parliament.
Quality failures කියන ඒවා නොවිච්ච රටක්.
If you can name a country with no quality failures, I will take responsibility. It is common knowledge that complications can develop. If we visit health services, they ask if we are allergic to certain things. It is a common thing.
ඇලර්ජික්ද කියලා ඒක සාමාන්‍ය දෙයක්.
A person goes to the hospital for medicine for an eye issue. Upon returning home, the patient goes blind. Will the minister be accountable? He says the medicine was imported for 7 years. Do we need a minister to make such a statement? Are we expecting to rid corruption with such ministers?
Multiple factions blame substandard medicine for the death of patients. Can this be true? Is this another form of corruption? On Thursday, the government decided to postpone passing the proposed anti-corruption bill that was prepared to investigate and penalize those who are linked to corruption. What actually happened to the proposed anti-corruption bill? Thursday, the 6th of July, was dedicated to produce the proposed anti-corruption bill to Parliament and pass it. After debating the bill, it was to be called for the second reading and then move to the committee stage with or without a vote and pass it with or without amendments. However, the government moved the bill for the third reading and delayed it without passing the bill. However, the Justice Minister was not pleased with the delaying of the bill.
The time I have spent on 100 bills is what I spent on this particular one. I am not sure about the reason to delay this.
Therefore, why was this bill pushed to the 19th of July?
Didn't the minister present the anti-corruption bill? He has to make decisions about it. There is an external person who makes decisions and gives instructions over the phone to delay it. Who is the outsider who controls the parliament?
ආසියාවේ හොඳම පනත කියලා කියනවා මේ.
The Anti-Corruption Act is said to be the best law in Asia. What was said at the human rights session? There is a serious problem of corruption in this country and the Anti-Corruption Act should be passed in this regard. The International Monetary Fund says the same. But with all this, the government is misusing this. They are delaying this bill.
The Frontline Socialist Party expressed their opinions on fraud and corruption during the press conference.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is saying although he was accused of stealing from the central bank, he has now changed. We will say how he has changed. A bond scam that is extremely serious and which goes beyond the central bank bond scam occurred last week. So they declared 30th a bank holiday and an international bond issue was made in Singapore in a way that no Sri Lankans can interfere with this. However, as far as we know, the crooks who escaped Sri Lanka are currently in Singapore contributed to this. And then on June 29th, the governor of the central bank made a statement that foreign debt will be cut by around 30%. The risk premium used to be 30 cents per dollar. This risk premium was increased to 47 cents per dollar. This was also one of the statements made. In the end, they did not deduct the 30% and nothing happened. Finally, what happened is that the risk premium that used to be 30 cents per dollar was increased to 47 cents per dollar. In this way, they took 5.08 billion US dollars. It is not a game. Then we overpay 17 cents per US dollar for this 5.8 billion dollars. We were defrauded $986 million, roughly $1 billion. If we convert this $1 billion to rupees, it is 320 billion. The previous central bank scam was 20 billion rupees. This time it is 320 billion rupees. It is 3 times the amount we set aside for education and 5 times the amount we set aside for higher education. There is a clear suspicion that there is a fraud in this. Who reaped benefits of this $1 billion? Who paved the way for those companies to generate an undue profit?
The massive incidents of corruption that took place in Sri Lanka was one of the main reasons that our country went bankrupt. A special parliamentary select committee under the chairmanship of the General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Sagara Karyawasam has been appointed to look into the reasons why Sri Lanka went bankrupt. Views were expressed regarding the members of parliament appointed to this committee.
The number of opposition MPs in the committee must increase and the chairmanship of the committee must be given to the opposition. Do not appoint select committees like this. It is better if you bring back Ajit Niwad Cabral and Basil Rajapaksa into parliament through the national list list and appoint them as well into this select committee. Doing that is better. 7 or 8 months ago, the president invited the opposition leader and us for a discussion. At the discussion, I clearly said that if we do not look into the reasons why our country went bankrupt, this mistake could be repeated in the future. The president also accepted it, but this committee that has been appointed is being criticized by the general public. The members of the committee and the chairman are being criticized. The general secretary of the SLPP is the chairman of the committee. I am not asking for this to be given to the SJB. Give this position to an independent person. It is better if that person is from the opposition. The ghost of the crow is still inside this parliament and is controlling the country. This must be stopped. Ranil Wickremesinghe is not the president of the country. That position is also held by the crow. The person appointed to the position of chairman of the select committee to inquire into the reasons why the country went bankrupt is also a ghost of the crow. Can a country be developed with a ghost who was chased away roaming in parliament? If strong parliamentary committees are not appointed and they are appointed just for the sake of having them, the society will not accept them.
This is what the SJB had to say.
The SLPP led this country towards destruction and voted for its destruction, and its General Secretary Sagara Karyavasam is the chairman of the committee appointed to investigate the crisis. This appointment alone is a disgrace to the country. This is like asking about the thief from the thief's mother.
News first with the people.
The Netherlands will be returning 6 objects of cultural significance back to Sri Lanka.
At the request of Sri Lanka, the Netherlands will be returning 6 objects of cultural significance, and the Dutch government noted that the objects were wrongfully brought to the Netherlands during the colonial period, acquired under duress or by looting. The works are currently in the collections of the National Museum of World Cultures, and the Rijksmuseum, and the transfer of ownership to Sri Lanka will take place later this year. The 6 objects are Leuke's cannon or the cannon of candy, a gold kastane or ceremonial sword, a Sinhalese knife, a silver kastane, and 2 guns. Sri Lanka asked the Netherlands to return 6 objects that were stolen from the country and are now in the custody of the Rijksmuseum. Researchers from both countries studied the provenance of these objects extensively. In this case too, the return process forms the basis for further cooperation between the 2 countries and the cultural institutions concerned. The Netherlands and Sri Lanka will remain in dialogue in order to develop this cooperation further.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the tourism industry would significantly contribute to the country's foreign exchange earnings in the coming decade. He was speaking at the Transcending Borders, Transforming Lives Forum of the Travel Agents Association of India in Colombo.
The convention of the Travel Agents Association of India is taking place in Colombo at the BMICH under the theme Transcending Borders, Transforming Lives.
We are trying to make tourism new and make more use of the potential. One of the means of raising funds, which is not debt creating, is tourism. So exploit it to the full, use it, and we are looking at new tourism from the 2.5 million we have to go to 5 million to start. Look at the upper end of the markets. Why not have $500 a night to $1,000 a night? We've got to learn from Maldives to make Sri Lanka the tourist destination that is worthwhile visiting. And we expect, when we are looking at attracting many of our visitors from Asia, from India, from East Asia, from South Asia, from West Asia, because it's easier for them to travel. So why don't we make our whole BIMSTEC area one borderless tourist area, transcending borders, not merely Sri Lankans traveling to India or Indians traveling to Bangladesh. No, it's one tourist area for anyone who wants to come from outside. Why don't we open up the BIMSTEC? Why don't we use the Bay of Bengal for a cruise? We are bigger than the Caribbean. Look at the potential. Just if people from East Asia, India, Southeast Asia, West Asia, Africa come to go along, why travel all that way? Look at how you can develop. Look at the places in Sri Lanka. Look at how it is. Go and see Mahabalipuram. See Odisha. This is what the Europeans and others must see. If we start now and we plan now, in 10 years' time you will have a new industry complete. Why don't we have travel arrangements? We arrange. This is the potential we have to get hundreds, million tourists a year into our area.
The High Commissioner of India to Colombo also spoke at the event.
You would have known that in the last few months, we have been able to not only resume the Chennai-Jaffna flights, which up till now are 4 flights per week, but soon, according to the alliance here, the operator, they are going to be available from 16th July every day of the week. We are working on resuming the ferries which have not plied for decades. And the idea of an international cruise coming from India to the Sri Lankan shores is no longer just an idea. We are now adding other enablers. For example, the use of Indian rupees as currency of trade and transaction in which the Indian tourists can also make payments. Can you imagine how much boost tourism will get when we conclude, hopefully shortly, arrangements between our 2 agencies, concerned agencies of India and Sri Lanka for digital payments? Those initiatives are designed not only to help transcend borders and transform lives, but also build on the legacies which is our common heritage.
People who were excluded from the Asvasuma Welfare Benefit Program protested on Friday as well.
People who were excluded from the Asvasuma Welfare Benefits Program protested at the Huruluweva Junction in Yakkala, Galenbindunuweva. Thereafter, they proceeded along the Galenbindunuweva Kakirava Road to the Yakkala Samruddhi Bank. They protested opposite the bank by blocking the road for a considerable period. Thereafter, they entered the premises of the Samruddhi Bank and protested. One person was allowed to meet with the manager of the Samruddhi Bank. Thereafter, the others were allowed to meet with the manager of the Samruddhi Bank. People who were excluded from the Asvasuma Welfare Benefits Program protested opposite the Negombo Divisional Secretariat. The protest was organized by the Negombo Shri Vimukti Fisher Women's Movement.
Children in a remote village in Kurunegala used to study in fear while at school, unsure when a herd of elephants would storm into their classrooms.
But Naveksha, that fear was put to rest today, thanks to Gamad.
The village of Eriyava in remote Kurunegala is visually attractive, especially in a quaint or charming way. However, the lives of the people living there are quite the opposite due to the threats of encroaching wild elephants. From the deep jungle surrounding the village, wild elephants cause massive destruction, and the village school also faces the same threat. These are the students of the Eriyava Mahinda Primary School, and due to the threat of wild elephants, they are always on the edge. The only solution to this issue is setting up an electric fence to ward off the wild elephants. Former Customs Director and former Presidential Advisor on Customs, Mr. Ranjan Piyasiri Dantanarayana from Ratmalana stepped forward to financially support the program. Accordingly, construction of an electric fence commenced on the 28th of June. Today, on the 7th of July, Gammadda was able to complete the construction of this electric fence to ward off wild elephants, bringing smiles to the faces of the children and relief to worried parents. The electric fence was constructed under the supervision of the local wildlife officers and the Provincial Engineer's Office. Forest Ranger of the Wildlife Office in Galgamua, Gayan Madhushankar, Eriyava Gramaniladari W.M. Jayanthaherath, Principal of the Eriyava Mahinda Primary School, Anil Gamini Vijayratna, Mahava Zonal Education Director R.M.I. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Ahatuava Divisional Secretary W.M. Udyanika Veerasinghe, Gammadda General Secretary Prasanna Tukorala, and Siobhan Daniel of the Gammadda Movement were among those present at the occasion. Mr. Ranjan Piyasiri Dantanarayana, who stepped forward to financially support the program, also brought gifts for the village children. Starting today, the students of this village can engage in their studies without any fear.
අද හරි සතුටින් අපි කියනවා ඕනම වෙලාවක ඕනම දරුවෙක් අරගෙන මේ විද්‍යාලයට එන්න හොඳ ආරක්ෂාවක් තියෙනවා.
ගමට දවල්ට අලියාවා කියොත් ඉස්කෝලේට අලි එයි කියන බය තියෙනවා. ඒත් දැන් එහෙම බය වෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ අපිට. මේ ඉස්කෝලේ වටේ මේ ගහලා තියෙන වැට නිසා ගම්මැද්ද වැඩසටහනේ මේ කරපු ක්‍රියාවට ගොඩාක් මේ ස්තුතියි. ඒ කියන්නේ ගොඩාක් පිං අපේ ළමයිට බයක් නැතුව අකුරු කරන්න පුළුවන් දැන්.
The village also decided to plant lime trees in order to protect the fence. Mr. Ranjan Piyasiri Dantanarayana, who financially supported the program, celebrated his birthday with the happy children and villagers. Today, the children of this village wore smiles that money cannot buy. What more can Gammadda ask for? Gammadda, for the people, by the people.
News first, with the people.
In more headline-making news, a group of employees of the State Engineering Corporation of Sri Lanka engaged in a protest demanding their salary arrears for the month of June.
A group of employees of the State Engineering Corporation of Sri Lanka engaged in a protest opposite the office of the chairman. In truth, they are living their best life. Even the employees are not paid their salaries in a proper manner. They continue to pay the salaries in parts in an unorderly manner. Because of this, the employees have become helpless, especially with the current economy. My salary due for the month of June has been paid in parts, and the rest of it still hasn't been paid to this day. We are here because of the amount we are due to receive. The chairman is not providing a satisfactory solution to this. He is turning a deaf ear to all our protests. We are gathered here today expecting an answer. Later, the police were also called to the scene. The protesters had a discussion with the chairman of the State Engineering Corporation, Attorney Ratnasiri Kalupahana, and after they were promised in writing that the arrears will be paid next Monday, the protesters dispersed.
Education Minister Susil Premajayantha told Parliament that the GCE ordinary level examination will not take place in December 2023. He said that the GCE advanced level examination will take place in December and the ordinary level examination will be moved to the first quarter of 2024.
We have reached the final stages of the evaluation of the advanced level answer scripts. Thereafter, we will commence the evaluation of the ordinary level answer scripts. We will have to call for the A-level exam before the end of the year. The O-level exam will be moved to the first quarter of 2024. The Department of Examination is working on that.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that the new Inspector General of Police will be appointed soon.
The President should end this recommendation. I don't know the reason. It took him a period of 11 to 12 days, close to 2 weeks, to send his recommendation, especially in a time when crime is violent. Therefore, the Prime Minister is requested to discuss with the President and take a decision within the next 48 hours. The appointment of the IGP will take place in a matter of hours. I am in the Constitutional Council as well as the Prime Minister. We will not meet next week. We are scheduled to meet again the following week. There is a continuous delay.
The LOLC Divisavya program, launched to lend a helping hand to students of Sri Lanka, took place in the Colombo district today.
School books and other stationery items were distributed among students under the LOLC Divisavya program. This Worth initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC group and the Ministry of Education. School books and stationery items were distributed to students from the Piliyandala and Homagam education zones. Students from the Karakampite Vijaya Vidyalaya and Borlaskamu Adarsha No. 1 Vidyalaya were gifted school books and stationery items via LOLC Divisavia. Moreover, school books and stationery items were distributed to the students from the Paduka Udagama Primary Vidyalaya, Paduka Tamil Vidyalaya and Sirinivasa Tamil Primary Vidyalaya. School books and stationery items were distributed to the students from the Lahirugama Buddhist Primary Vidyalaya. The LOLC Divisavia program will press on in the endeavour to support the education of these children.
Saturday, the 8th of July at 8 p.m. on TV1.
State Finance Minister Shehant Semasingh has said the people are already benefiting from the decision to reduce policy interest rates.
Policy interest rates were dropped compared to the rate of inflation. The people are already benefiting from it. Policy interest rates will be reduced even further in the future. We believe that banking system and financial institutions will provide the benefits to the people. Inflation will reach a single digit by next month.
In news overseas, Twitter is threatening legal action over Meta's new social media service Threads, describing it as a copycat app.
Musk, who bought Twitter last year, tweeted, quote, "Competition is fine, cheating is not," unquote. Twitter's lawyer wrote a letter to Zuckerberg demanding that, quote, Meta take immediate steps to stop using any Twitter trade secrets or other highly confidential information, unquote, after accusing them of hiring former Twitter employees. Meta's communications director, however, denied these allegations. Meta, which launched Threads on Wednesday, is already off to a strong start as it has lodged more than 30 million sign-ups, including many brands and celebrities, and some are questioning whether the app could end up being the Twitter killer. Threads platform looks a lot like Twitter, with a feed of largely text-based posts, although users can also post photos and videos where people can have real-time conversations. Similar to Twitter, users can reply to, repost and quote others' Threads post. However, this app also blends Instagram's existing aesthetic and navigation system and offers the ability to share posts from Threads directly to Instagram stories. Following the launch, Zuckerberg stated that in a Threads post that they hope to take what Instagram does best and create a new experience around text, ideas and discussing what's on your mind. Thread accounts can also be listed as public or private, and verified Instagram accounts are also automatically verified on Threads.
In your sports news tonight, Sri Lanka beat the West Indies by 8 wickets in their Super 6 encounter in Harare. Sri Lankan captain Dasun Shanaka won the toss and elected to bowl to harness the perceived morning advantages. Sri Lanka rattled West Indies in their Super 6 encounter, with the spinners doing the majority of the damage. The West Indies top order had no answer in reply to the spin of Mahesh Theekshana, with Brandon King and Shamar Brooks and skipper Shai Hope all perishing against the tricky spinner. This left a massive rebuild job upon Casey Carty and Romario Shepherd as West Indies were meandering along at 127 for the loss of 7 wickets at the 30-over mark. Carty first paired with Shepherd to take West Indies past the 150-run mark and then brought up his half-century. Even as wickets fell on the other end, Carty pressed on, pushing his team towards a respectable total. He was eventually the last wicket to fall on 87, with West Indies getting bowled out for 243.
Sri Lankan international cricketer Dhanushka Gunathilaka wants to avoid placing his fate in the hands of a jury when on trial accused of sexually assaulting a woman while on tour in Sydney for the T20 World Cup.
Sri Lankan cricketer Dhanushka Gunathilaka is facing one count of sexual intercourse without consent after the public prosecutor withdrew 3 other charges earlier this year. He appeared at Sydney's Downing Centre District Court on Friday, where his lawyer asked for an arrangement to be delayed until an application for a judge-alone trial can be lodged. Crown prosecutors will contest the application at a hearing on July 24th. Gunathilaka was arrested in the early hours of November 6th, shortly before he was scheduled to board a flight home with the rest of the Sri Lankan team.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight. I'm Charlene Benedict for the News First team.
For all these stories and much more, visit our website www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. Good night.